genetically engineered pigs, spacefaring apartment complexes, and revolt over corporate overlords are just a few themes discussed in Netflix movies that every sci-fi fan should revisit. Early in Okja, a young girl named Mija falls from a mountain while taking her giant genetically engineered super pig, Okja, for a walk. Okja struggles to pull Mija to safety with her rope leash, but she's not quite strong enough. While trying to save Mija, Okja sees a nearby stump of wood sticking out from the rock face. With a running start, Okja uses the stump as a fulcrum for the rope leash, throwing Mija to safety as Okja herself falls into the trees. Mija tracks down a winded but unharmed Okja on the forest floor and gives her a big hug. Certain viewers may struggle to suspend disbelief during this scene. Pigs are smart, but are they smart enough to use physics-assisted tools to save people from death? Perhaps not. Despite Okja's apparent intelligence, it turns out she has been created just to be slaughtered and consumed. Meat eating is just one part of Okja, the film Bong Joon-ho made with Netflix before taking the world by storm with Parasite. Okja fearlessly mashes together Spielbergian sentiment, expensive special effects, and a blunt but effective satire of corporate politics.
You've done an incredible job!
Thank you.
Tilda Swinton, who worked with Bong Joon-ho in Snowpiercer, also makes an appearance in the film as another memorable villain. At the time of its release, the critical consensus was that Okja was good, but just a bit too much. Despite its critiques, Okja perfectly captures the contradictions of late-stage capitalism, setting the language of TED Talks and Whole Foods against the cold, harsh reality of money changing hands from one person to another. For the past several years, film critics have been asking, who will be the next Studio Ghibli? Anime fans, however, know that this question is ridiculous, as the likelihood of anyone recapturing Studio Ghibli's magic is almost non-existent. The studio, co-founded by directors Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, alongside producer Toshio Suzuki, was a historical aberration. No studio may ever replicate their mixture of genius and self-destruction, not even Studio Ponok, which is staffed by former members of the Ghibli team. But that's not to say that there aren't anime studios making high-quality original content today. Today, one of the pillars of anime production is Studio Colorido. Colorido has done a little bit of everything, from original family films to viral McDonald's commercials to, arguably, the best Pokemon anime ever made. The studio is primed for a breakout hit. The only question is when. Their latest effort is Drifting Home, a film about two kids and their friends whose old apartment complex is transported across space and time into a vast ocean. Drifting buildings are tales as old as time in Japanese literature. Director Hiroesu Ishida grounds this particular take on the genre in the nostalgia and decay of post-war 1960s Danshi apartment complexes. Its young protagonists, Kosuke and Natsume, must learn to leave their childhood haven, even if that means sacrificing something dear to them. There's plenty of striking water imagery as well. Drifting Home isn't quite as finely honed as the masterful Pokemon Twilight Wings, but as an original film from an exciting and still evolving studio, it's worth supporting. Sony Pictures Animation was once known as the studio that made the Hotel Transylvania movies, a track record that strikes fear into the hearts of animation fans. Before the disparately reviewed Transylvania franchise, however, there was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs began the duo's string of successes in adapting unexpected source material into popular hits. It also established them as producers who saw animation as a medium, rather than a delivery mechanism. Through their influence, a burgeoning Spider-Man project at the studio assembled a team of artists looking to break every rule governing CG animation that Pixar had established, with Toy Story in 1995. The result was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, one of the greatest animated movies of all time, and Sony Pictures Animation's crowning achievement. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is the studio's first real post-Spider-Verse movie, although there is more to the story than that. Director Mike Rianda and writer and co-director Jeff Rowe made their names on Gravity Falls. While The Mitchells vs. the Machines shares the warmth and humor of Gravity Falls, some may find its well-worn tale of a nuclear family coming together despite their differences to be disappointingly rote.
Hold on, Dad, that's kind of weak. This is like a big moment.
In spite of the campy story, Sony Pictures Animation's efforts are as impressive as ever, enlivening a smaller and more grounded movie with a cornucopia of fun details and techniques. The Mitchells vs. the Machines transcends imploring their audience to put down their phones by channeling the protagonist's spirit of goofy, compassionate creation in every frame. Space Sweepers needs no introduction. It overcame the handicap of a theatrical release thwarted by the pandemic lockdowns to become the #1 movie on Netflix in 16 countries. Praised by film critics like Karen Hahn and Emma Stefanski, its story of scrappy junk haulers finding common ground to fight back against corporate overlords steals from other popular science fiction movies and television shows without apology. The film was a calculated risk by director Jo Sung-hee, whose work on animated productions likely proved essential in shepherding the ambitious special effects of Space Sweepers. But then, Space Sweepers also sits comfortably within Netflix's roster of films, evoking half a dozen well-liked classics, so Netflix may avoid shelling out expensive licensing fees to secure the rights to stream them. For this reason, Space Sweepers might be the safest movie a director like Jo Sung-hee could have made. At the same time though, it's tough not to root for Space Sweepers. Despite recent success stories like Squid Game and Extraordinary Attorney Woo, Netflix has often treated its roster of international television series as fodder, rather than the main event. Space Sweepers managed to break through what Bong Joon-ho calls the one-inch-tall barrier of subtitles and make headlines. With any luck, audiences will follow the path laid by Space Sweepers to discover just how much they've been missing.